Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. You remember that little gold and silver rally we saw the past couple of days? Well, look again. It's been smacked down. Let's explore. That's right. We've seen a pretty big drop of gold and silver prices, and it's for good reasons and good news. I'll talk a little bit about that here with this article from CNBC. It's falling about 1% for gold on resilient U.S. jobs data and a dollar recovery. That's right. This kind of harkens back to a prior video where it was kind of estimated that we would see the dollar kind of weaken through the election. And this is an example of that as we see some new data come through here on jobs and housing. Gold retreated 1% to near $1,900 an ounce on Thursday on better than expected U.S. jobs data, with the appeal of the metal further weighed down by a stronger dollar and doubts over U.S. stimulus package before the presidential elections. Spot gold fell 1.1% to $1,903.16 per ounce, and U.S. gold futures settled down 1.3% to $1,904.60. The jobless claim numbers, which is much better than expected, was pressuring gold, said Edward Moya, senior market analyst at Oanda, adding that an improving number of takes away some of the urgency for getting a stimulus deal done right now. Data showed initial claims for state unemployment benefits in the U.S. dropped 55,000 to a seasonally adjusted 787,000 last week, although the overall number was still relatively high. A Reuters survey had forecasted 860,000 claims in the latest week. The dollar, meanwhile, bounced back from a 7-week low versus major rivals, making gold more expensive for those holding other currencies after President Donald Trump accused Democrats of being unwilling to reach a deal on a new coronavirus relief bill. Widely viewed as a hedge against inflation and currency debasement, gold was still up 25% this year as central banks and governments globally unleash unprecedented stimulus measures to cushion the economic blow from a worsening coronavirus pandemic. Focus now shifts to the final U.S. presidential debate between Trump and Democratic rival Joe Biden on Thursday night ahead of the November 3rd election. And I think that this debate tonight could certainly have an effect on gold and silver prices. I think now the markets may be hyperly sensitive to political actions. Of course, there's also news breaking about some trouble with Biden and ties to China, with a laptop discovered and outed by a former business partner from his son Hunter. Prices are likely to trade sideways until we know who the next president is, but could break above the $1,950 level post the election, said Robin Barr, an independent analyst. Wall Street bank Goldman Sachs, meanwhile, forecast gold at $2,300 an ounce over a 12-month horizon and said commodities were likely headed for a full market next year. Elsewhere, silver fell 2.1% to $24.55 per ounce. Platinum dipped 0.7% and palladium dropped 1.4%. We'll look at the prices now as of the recording of this video. We can see the movements here. And as is usually the case, the volatility of silver is showing and rearing its ugly head in this case, because it's taken a 1.4% drop, while gold has only dropped just under 1% in the grand scheme of things. So that is something we have to be prepared for, as is usually the case with the volatility of silver, with the gold being somewhat more resilient in the measure there. But that is the kinds of movements that we've been seeing as of late with news breaks Now, I think it's about a couple of days before the election, the third quarter GDP numbers will come out. And Donald Trump has said they should be very positive. Um, and according to this economic data, and this article didn't talk about housing data as well, but I think that data were released as well. And it showed very good numbers in that area too. In fact, I mean, most of us recognize that the housing market has been really booming lately. I think some of that has been real since there's been a lot of people moving away from some of these troubled cities. Not only troubled because of the unrest in some of these cities, but also because of the high taxes and people are moving out to the suburbs as a result. But nonetheless, there it is. It's fascinating to see the movement of gold and silver in these times, and all good reasons to see the rally halted by a strong dollar and better than expected jobs numbers. And I believe that with those job numbers, that is actually the best we've heard. We've seen the best. Of course, it hasn't been calculated as far as what the unemployment rate is now, but I'm under the understanding that it will be the best since the pandemic began, March area. So we are seeing a recovery. And with more good news like this, we are starting to see this thing into I will still call it a U-shaped recovery because we're still in the midst of a pandemic and some cases are rising and things are kind of somewhat being shut down and scaled back with some, some of the service industry, which is a major part of the economy, obviously. And but it is a very, very thin U, I'll call that. Maybe that's a word we can use. That's usually a term applied to guitar necks. But nonetheless, there we go. So we'll see how this plays out. But gold and silver down will provide a good buying opportunity, potentially, especially with the uncertainty with the election coming up. More than likely, gold and silver will rise depending on how what the streets are like and what the unrest and uncertainty around the election. See how it plays out. So post your thoughts in the comment section below. Where you think gold and silver is going to be after the election, and what do you think is going to happen between now and the election? Less than 2 weeks away now, till November the 3rd, 2020. We pick the next leader of the free world. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.